Welcome to an author reading of Rise of the Phoenix, the first book in the Imperial Saga by Anne Winchell. Chapter 1, Lack of Control. Fire sparked through Tahirah's nerves in agonizing jolts of energy, reminding her of the need to keep using magic. Until she spent her raw power, the pain would only grow. The glowing phoenix egg sitting before her in a foot of ash stretched just over her head and absorbed her excess magic, easing some of the pain. Ryla, her first phoenix, circled the finished egg with an air of triumph. Barely the size of a clenched fist, she was Tahirah's pride and joy. Until now. A whiff of smoke permeated the concrete walls of the stuffy basement as she channeled fire to seal the coarse crystalline shell. The egg glowed a deep crimson in the stale air, shimmering against the silver laminate on the floor and casting her shadow against the pale pine stairs. The phoenix within lay complete, waiting on Tahirah to hatch. She rubbed her hand against her arm in a nervous pattern, her bronze skin dark in the shadows. When it hatched, the phoenix would have trouble fitting down here. Even though she wanted to wait as long as possible before hatching it, the phoenix would grow impatient before long and demand freedom. How would she hide it? Shadows from the shoulder-height window shifted, and a ray of light pierced the air. She never carried a phone, too easy for her enemies to trace her, and at times like this, she regretted not having easy access to the time. Still, the light indicated it was time to go. The crisp clicks of Jackie's high heels above her heightened her fear as the woman paced. Tahirah needed to hide the egg now and get back upstairs. She had no choice but to create her egg under the feet of the woman who was controlling and spying on her, despite the danger. Using magic was a death sentence. At least here, Tahirah made sure no one came close. Even so, she took plenty of precautions. With her hand outstretched, she focused on thickening the air surrounding the egg. If only someone could teach her how to do this, but everyone in the royal family was dead except her brother, and she suspected he couldn't use magic at all. She operated on instinct alone as she concentrated on fading the air around the egg so that a person's attention would pass right through. Nothing happened. The clicks from overhead intensified. Tahirah trembled, then took a deep breath. She concentrated on how the air filled her body, the way it expanded from her belly to her chest until her lungs burned and begged for an exhale. That was the air she needed to control, and she held out her hand as she released her breath. Ozone wafted from her outstretched palm and tainted the air. Sometimes her magic surged, and it was all she could do to control it, and sometimes the elements hid from her questing mind like kids fleeing an approaching invader. Still nothing. She clenched her hand in a fist. This shield was all she wanted. During the day, she used her magic on minor things, knocking books from bookshelves or twirling her pencil in class. Ever since she turned 21, though, everything changed. Her need to use magic sharpened into the need to create phoenix eggs, even though the invaders would kill her if they discovered her egg. For nearly a year, she fought the need. Finally, though, she had to give in to her craving. Ryla took months to create, and when the little phoenix hatched, Tahirah thought it was over. A month passed. And then the pain returned, the craving to create another phoenix. She couldn't fight it. Her brother Khalid never had this problem. "Tara," a voice called from above. Tahirah flinched. Jackie. Tara was her assigned name after the transition, and the only thing she was called after the invaders released her and Khalid from jail. Khalid called her Tahirah when they were still in jail, but ever since his obedience earned their freedom 7 years ago, he only called her Tara. She stretched her hand again about 6 inches from the shell, focusing on the breath in her body and directing it to flow down her arm past her fingertips. The air grazed across her skin and the hairs on her arm stood on end. It worked. Her chest loosened and she let out a shaky laugh. From there, she built up a shield of dense air expanding outward from her hand to surround the egg. Exhaustion crept through her, but she continued channeling her power. She could lose her grasp on the air if she stopped now. Finally, the shield snapped into place and she stepped back. The egg was completely invisible, her gaze deflected so she could see right through it. She circled the egg to make sure it was hidden from all angles. The space looked like the dusty basement with its stacks of garden tools, beat-up lawnmower, and small workbench. No sign of anything else, not even the pile of ash surrounding the egg's base. The musty air clung to her skin, and she hoped her phoenix didn't mind when it hatched. Jackie only came down here in late spring, and that was months away. Her egg should be safe. Until it hatched.